Marcus.
Can you confirm a report that the Russian pilots are going to fly these fighter jets that Iraq has purchased? And if they are, does this building have concerns about Russian forces operating aircraft over top of U.S. forces operating on the ground?
No, I can't confirm. The Russian Ministry of Defense should talk about what they're doing with their pilots. I can't do that. It's my understanding that these aircraft were purchased for use by Iraqi pilots, but you'd have to talk to Moscow about what they're doing with their planes and their pilots. In terms of concerns, I mean, I'll just go back to what we've said before, but all nations that are becoming involved in this situation, and that includes us, and particularly Iraq's neighbors, we would urge them all to do so in a way that doesn't further inflame sectarian tensions, that doesn't make a bad situation worse.
Wouldn't the U.S. government or U.S. military want to talk to the Russians about what they're doing with their planes and pilots in Iraq? Is the U.S. attempting to find out from the Russians exactly what their intent is there in Iraq?
There are no active discussions with the Russian military now about what they are or not doing in Iraq. Iraq is a sovereign nation. They negotiate, talk, discuss, purchase things from other countries just like any other sovereign nation. These are discussions that the Iraqi government is obviously having with the Russian government, as they have with the Iranian government. It's not our place to inject ourselves in the middle of those discussions. We are being very measured, very deliberate about our force presence there, our posture there, and what our mission is. As I said to Barbara, being very deliberate and measured about what we are doing and what we are not doing.
Can I follow up on that, though? What precautions are you taking to protect, when I say you, what precautions are the Americans who are working out of the JOC taking to protect the sources of their intelligence in light of the fact that they are working with Iraqis who are working alongside the Russians and getting intelligence from the Iranians?
Protecting the sources of their intelligence.
The methods of their intelligence. Is there an effort to protect those sources and methods in light of the fact that they are potentially working with Russians and getting intelligence from the Iranians?
We're pretty careful about protecting intelligence, and we're pretty good at it. I would remind you, though, that the mission for the Joint Operations Center, and both of them, and the only one that's stood up right now is the one in Baghdad, is to serve as a clearinghouse for a useful exchange of information between us and the Iraqi security forces. That's the goal. That's the objective. And we're always careful, of course, with dealing with other nations and intelligence. But we believe there's great value, and we can't, frankly, eventually do our job as advisors unless, there's a measure of trust and open dialogue that we can have with Iraqi security forces. That's what our goal is.
Not mitigated at all, but by the fact that there are Iranian forces on the ground and Russian planes flying overhead.
I don't know if mitigated is the right verb, but clearly whatever we do will be informed by the degree to which we understand the actions of other nations and other entities there in Iraq. Obviously, it'll be informed by that. Yeah, of course.